And it says we are live. Let me see. Yep,
I
we're
hope
live.
so.
Sorry, we're a couple of minutes late, folks. We had a little StreamYard Facebook glitches, but here we are, and we're excited this week because
I know.
as you know, we're both huge music fans,
Mhm.
and this TeaFlix Tuesday is all about music today and girl power and lady power. And this lady is. We started out with, client relationship, and she was introduced by Go Carry Go, which I'm very grateful about. But I've really become a fan, and I feel like we have our chats and we do our technical stuff, but we talk about philosophy and life. I feel like I've made a new friend. So without further ado, from Boulder, Colorado, the fabulous, the wonderful, the one and only writer, producer, singer-songwriter, Rebecca Folsom, and the crowd goes wild.
Hello, Rebecca. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Delighted to have you. Thank you very much.
I'm delighted to be here. I have a feeling that my jaw is going to hurt at the end from smiling.
Oh, no, I've been told to behave myself a little today. Oh, come on. Why start now?
Just a tad. Absolutely. So I know you were on the road all last week. And when I say road, I mean road. You drive all over the place, don't you? On these
Drive and fly, I mean, depending, how far it is and all that. But yes, driving this last time because it was New Mexico close by.
Right. Yeah. So we're obviously here today mainly to talk about Sanctuary, and your beautiful postcard arrived for your consideration yesterday from Go Carry Go, and that's how we originally met. Let's just get right into it. Sanctuary obviously is the title track of the album. What does that word mean to you? And when you co-wrote these songs, where was the inspiration from?
I would say that word meant something very different to me 3 years ago when I started the project as it does to me now. And, I looked up the word sanctuary. I had the inspiration to write the song Sanctuary when I was in this beautiful home that had been a renovated church, and it's now called the Temple of Transformation in Dallas, Texas. Right. The beautiful home of Susie Batiste, and she is a catalytic thinker and just an amazing spirit and wonderful woman to co-create anything with. And she's just made some incredibly beautiful things. And one of the amazing things that she's made is the Poo-Pourri spray.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's her brainchild. That's her company.
Right.
And
it solves the problem, and it has a sense of humor about itself.
Yes.
So it's not
So Sanctuary comes in many forms. Sanctuary is in something as simple as that, and something as huge as the humanitarian movement in each individual that is around not othering people and seeing this as something separate or less or better, but really being truly equal as a human being to a human being. So that was a big piece of it. And, each song on the album was an exploration into a different piece of Sanctuary, a different group of people that were marginalized and have been pushed to the side. Yeah. Because when I looked up the word sanctuary, basically it said a place of refuge, a natural sanctuary, a holy place. And I thought, well, if you need a place of refuge, that means that someplace is not refuge. Some places somebody has been pushed outside of what is naturally refuge, our humanity. And so really then working with the groups around trying to bring their voice to the middle, to the center, and bring that to the highest platform, bring that to radio and film. We created a documentary film that we'll release next year. And so quite a process in from the most personal of songs, where my own personal experience of Sanctuary, to the most broad.
Right.
So, that's long-winded answer.
No, that's great. That's why we're here. We want to learn all about it. To me, Sanctuary, yes, you say it's a place, but since listening to your music and reading the stories behind the songs on your website, Sanctuary has now taken on a new meaning for me, which is it can be sanctuary within yourself. It doesn't have to be a physical church or a building, or right.
Exactly. That is totally where I came to. Yep. So from the place of, we need to bring people in, was really where the difference is made is me. Am I a safe place? Am I a haven for anybody who comes across my path. You know,
And
so-
self-love too.
and self-love. I'm probably the biggest
Right.
Oh,
problem.
Well, I mean, it's just when you see all of the division in the world today, whether it's, you know, racial or political or environmental beliefs or what have you, it's just, I think they come from a place of fear of other, right? They
Yes.
don't understand. So they put up the dukes and they're like, oh, well, that's wrong. I hate that.
Yeah.
Instead of just centering and
And
finding
listening.
the
Yeah.
question,
Mhm.
well, what don't I understand? And
Yes.
learn moving towards sanctuary, right?
Right.
The world
Yeah,
would
I mean,
be
it's
such a
really-
better place.
What's that?
The world would be just such a better place.
Yeah, but everybody's in such a hurry for solutions and
That's
you know,
right.
gratification.
Yeah.
You know, nobody thinks to stop and listen to other
So-
people's point of view.
Right.
If you
So
don't
true,
agree with
Angie.
me, then you're a bad person,
Right.
which is a load of cobblers, as we used to say
Cobblers,
in the
indeed.
old country. Can't say crap, can I? Because that's rude,
No.
very rude. So I won't say crap.
So how?
You just did.
But you just did.
Oh,
But tell me,
wow.
first of all-
Sorry, please
I was
go.
going to say, how did you get started in the music business? Did your
Ah.
family get behind you, or did they want you to get a proper job like a lawyer? Or...
Well, you know, I just want to pause 1 second on what you just said, Angie, because it was so juicy. The listening, slowing down and listening, you know, is just key. It's so key. You know, I think of the people that everyone loves, and they're people that listen. And there's such a gift to yourself to be a listener.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
and it's so about receiving. You know, I think it's part of our illness in our society is we're so after getting, you know, attaining all of that, that we're not even aware of what we're getting, you know, of what we're receiving, like the attention, the love, the, you know, whatever the moment is. And to me, that's the same issue as listening. It's really this, it's allowing life or people, the experience to come to you, you know.
Yes.
My grandmother, her mother, used to say nobody ever learned anything when their lips were moving.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right? If you're
yeah.
yakking, you're not listening.
Yeah, if we just brought a new song into our set list, we all got excited about it. I'm touring currently with a trio, violinist and a multi-instrumentalist and 3-part harmonies. And we brought in James Taylor's Lonesome Road. And,
Oh,
you know, it has that one part, you know, if I had stopped to listen once or twice, if I had closed my mouth and opened my eyes,
Yep.
yeah, if I had cooled my head and warmed my heart, I'd not be on this road tonight.
Yeah.
Which, you know, those words are so, there's exactly what we're talking about.
They're all very simple 1 and 2 syllable words, but they say so much, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. So, Angie, back to your question. I would say that everyone in my family is a creative. So creativity was very encouraged. My mother kind of broke a chain in her lineage. It was sort of a very uptight Illinois, a lot of judgment, you know, happening. And my mother sort of escaped. She was a left-handed, you know, very delicate little fairy woman, and she just was so different than TikTok living, you know, that
Yeah.
yeah. And so she created a household with 5, you know, wild little children that was very artistically based. She wanted us to express ourselves, wanted us to be authentic. And she always was saying, children love one another, children love one another. And, you know,
sometimes.
it is. And, you know, when she, you know, there were other things she did too that were, you know, not, they were on the other side of the spectrum. We were in trouble. She'd hit us with a little wooden spoon, but, you know, it is. So anyway, it was a beautiful, ripe thing to grow up in.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
When you described her as a little left-handed fairy, it just
Yeah, that says it all, really.
it does really.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of everything I need to know about you. So, which of these songs was written first? Which was the oldest child of the project
You
Sanctuary?
know, the oldest child was in my little town. It
Okay.
was the one around gun violence and addressing that in our society and what's going on around that, you know, the disenfranchised people, really usually young men. I mean, the bulk of that is happening with young men, and how they are disenfranchised, and what is happening with that, and how do we address it? Because for me, when I wrote the song, it was another one on TV. You know, it was another town and another shooting, and with that, I was like, wow, I'm going to forget about this in 2 days, because it's not my it's just somewhere else, you know?
Yeah,
It was
I know.
it was Parkland, Florida that sparked you, right?
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
And after that, I wrote In My Little Town, just like, what is it if it happens in my town? It can happen in my town. And then the, amazingly sad thing is it happened in my town
Yes.
a couple of years later.
Yeah.
So, and my brother, who's very dear to me, was in the King Supers an hour before that happened.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Whew.
it's that close, it's
Well,
just,
and this is the whole point, isn't it? That it literally can happen anywhere. And if we could just deal in love instead of fear and hate, I mean, it's such, really, when you think about it, it's such a simple solution, but too many people in, all stripes of life, because we don't get political on this show, but too many people have got skin in the game, making money from, all the negative stuff. Things they say, their propaganda, the things they sell, the things they stand for, the lobbyists, all of that stuff.
People are so confused. They don't know
There's
what
no
to
money in
believe.
love, right?
No.
Which I'm going to say no. I think there's lots of money in love.
Well, I'm sorry, for us, for people like us, there is, but
but that sort of philosophy in it,
for the real kind of, the down and dirty, the people who are only concerned about money,
greed. Greed.
Oh, I think greed is one of the worst.
Oh, absolutely.
One of the worst
7
sins,
deadly
I really
sins.
do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've thought of these things so much over the years now. We're almost 4 years into this project, and we are 4 years into this project. And, it's like, yes, what you said, Ruth, is so true, that it really is the choice between fear or love. What is that? And what is the daily experience of making that choice? Like, that's the hard part. When I get afraid, it's like, how am I going to behave? Because what is it to pause and even listen to myself and be like, oh, I'm afraid, just even note that, rather than acting out of fear, which is, yeah.
And then figuring out how to handle people who are on that side of the spectrum, who are quick to anger, quick to criticize, leave like nasty voicemails and things. It's like, do you respond? Because my blood pressure goes up. Do you respond? No. Or do you respond with empathy, or do you just let it die? Or it's tough.
I always say sleep on it, Ruth.
Yeah.
Yes, she does sometimes have people who are really tough on her.
Yeah.
And
well, I think all of us do. We're in business.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. Yes.
Business sometimes can go there, and there's money involved, and agreements, and things are happening so fast, like you said, Angie. I mean, that the whole pace, and it really is one of those. I mean, I'm so fascinated by resonance, and I mean, being a singer and all that, and the idea that everything is vibrating. When you really look into the quantum physics and the real science of what existence is, then you're looking into that everything is resonating, everything is vibrating and resonating. And so if somebody or something got triggered and they're resonating now in fear or whatever, all I can do is resonate in love, or resonate in curiosity, or some of these things that might shift that. Like, I'm just having to trust that I will have a ripple in the world. Yeah.
No, I like to think of it when you said quantum, and my husband Martin, also a musician and a producer, he's madly into this whole learning more about string theory and quantum and all of that stuff. When you think about how simple it is to explain to a child that if you get a little transistor radio and you switch it on and turn a knob, you can get all of these different messages from all over the country. And sometimes if you have a long wave radio, all over the world, all of that is going on. All of those messages are being put out. And that's just the radio frequency. What about the spiritual frequency and the universal frequency and all of the stuff we don't even know yet?
Yeah.
Right? It's all in this room. You just have to be the instrument or the quiet
ready
one,
to accept.
the bowl
Yeah.
that's ready to be rung, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like what you're saying, Angie, too. You said accept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
accept it.
Well, yeah, I am just lately since AI began, or well, I mean, it began a long time ago, but it's just coming to the forefront now. It's made me stop and think in many ways. And, you know, the jury's still out as far as I'm concerned. But I know there is some good to come out of it. But a lot of people are so afraid.
Yeah, but if you look at it as a parallel universe,
Mhm.
it's what we have all been taught as children, isn't it? There's good and evil, there's heaven and hell, there's other places. The internet doesn't exist, but we're talking on it.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. So, you know, we just have to try and with
Yeah.
that resonation and frequency, which is what I love about Sanctuary. You know, it's my go-to when I'm having one of those days where Mercury's in retrograde and the passwords don't work. I put it on and I just breathe.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
Rebecca's got me. She's got this. You know, it's coming from a good place. You talked about touring, and you've done a lot of shows in September already, and you're coming out to our neck of the woods, are you not? You're coming to Southern California.
I am coming to Southern California. I'm super excited about it. Coming out for the Wine, Women in Film Festival, which will be, and super excited because Sanctuary won the best music video in the film festival.
Right.
So
You heard it here first. That's
so
great.
very, very excited to do that, and then come out for some for your consideration parties, and that'll be really fun too.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to say I'm super excited about getting a trophy for the Sanctuary video, because I realized I've only won one trophy in my entire life.
Oh, really?
What was that?
It was in Votech school when I dropped out of high school, and I went to Votech school to learn how to be a secretary. I won the spelling bee.
Oh,
Well,
fantastic. Well, that was Angie's first job in 1846. She was a
oh,
secretary.
thank you. 1846. Yeah. See what I mean?
Yeah.
See? Elder abuse all the time. No respect.
Keeps her on her little size 5 toes.
Are your feet really size 5?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
Do you have to buy
And
your
after
shoes?
that, it goes steadily downhill as you work your way upwards.
So you won for best music video. That was shot in Dallas at Susie's.
Yeah, so that was at the Temple of Transformation, Susie's beautiful place, and really exquisite place. And the years of singing that happened in that church. And so we, together with our director, Paul Levatino, they shot this beautiful film of us recording the song there with the Saul Gates Chorale and Sean Martin on keys. Sean Martin's I think he's won 6 or 7 Grammys now.
Oh, it's a lot.
Yeah. And my producer came down and he co-produced, and he's won 3 Grammys. I mean, the talent we had that day was just extraordinary. There's a picture. I mean, there's all these the film is gorgeous and the pictures are beautiful. And then at the very end, someone took a picture of me laying on the couch. I was just I think it was one of those, I look at that picture whenever I need to be like, Rebecca, stop going after life and just be satisfied. Like, because that picture, I'm just here just going, oh, that was amazing.
Like when you take your bra off at night. Oh.
Charming.
Yes, like that, Angie.
Okay, whatever.
Sorry, I know it's a family show.
Yes, it is
She
indeed.
told me to behave, but I couldn't.
No, I was listening to Oprah this morning on CBS, and she was just saying she's just done a whole project on happiness. What is happiness? You have to kind of strive to. It's a cross between contentment, ease, self-love, ease of acceptance, and all of those things create happiness. It isn't just a single thing. It consists of ingredients, you know.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
Yeah. And so she said, you know, Gail said, well, what makes you happy now? And Oprah said, well, I'm going to say something that I thought I would never say, but it's when there's a gap in my schedule. She said, when I was doing the Oprah show, I had to be packed. Like every 15 minutes, I had to have something to do, achieve, do, go. And she said, now you know, when I go to Hawaii, there'll be a whole afternoon or even a day. And she said, I now allow myself to just sit in a quiet place, think good thoughts, call old friends, tell people I love them, and just let it come, let the spare time
Yeah.
manifest good stuff. She said, I used to think of it as, oh, you can't waste time. There's only so many hours in a day.
Mm.
And now she's like, if I have time, I either use it or I don't, but I see it as a blessing that's been given to me, which is very interesting for overachievers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I wrote down, what are the ingredients of happiness? That's a lovely thought.
Yeah, no, but and you were mentioning in the all of the music that has resonated through the walls in Dallas. I really believe, because I'm a big foodie, I'm a big cook, and I really believe that a venue like, you know, the temple or a church, or it can be anywhere, the Cavern Club in Liverpool, for heaven's sake.
Yes.
It's not just the music and the strings and the voices that have reverberated, but I really believe that the walls and the furniture absorb all that stuff. And I liken it to a cast iron pan. When you get a brand new pan, it's okay. But once it's seasoned and taken care of and you keep using it, you keep cooking it, stuff just tastes better and better.
Oh, that's so true. I'm thinking about, you know, places I played like the Bluebird Cafe or Red Rocks Amphitheater, and, you know, some of those places that are just, you could feel it. You know, you could feel Joni Mitchell sitting there strumming her guitar.
Yeah.
You could feel all the people at Red Rocks just, you know, looping with audiences. And
that's what that's why these studios are so legendary. We were lucky enough last week to work with an artist in Studio 2 at East West, which is the I Think I Love You. David Cassidy sang it in that room. So that touches my heart. And then we get to work in Studio 3, which is the Pet Sounds room. And there really is a vibe about that place. And sometimes, you know, obviously there's no smoking anywhere near the building now, but sometimes you'll go out the back of East West past Studio 3 and you'll smell these old Gauloise, like French cigarettes. And I said to Candace, what's that all about? She said, oh, Brian Wilson used to smoke Gauloise when this was an outdoor patio, before it was added on to a hallway. He used to come out the back of Studio 3 and to go out there to smoke. And I swear to God, I can
you
still
could smell it. Well, you smelled it before they told you.
Yeah. So, you know, I do believe those old places like Capitol Records in the Village and all these great gigs, the Bluebird, they really do absorb. And so that's, again, what I love about how you have used your just intuitive experience as not just as a musician, but as a producer with Sanctuary, to seek out the right places, the right people.
Right, for the different songs, you know, what we did.
Different vibes. Talk to us a little bit about the penitentiary vibe with Brothers.
Oh, yes. You know, I worked with a nonprofit called the Realness Project, and they are doing fabulous.
Oh, I think she's buffering. Hold, please. Are you back?
Are you buffering?
Are you back?
I'm here.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, we just StreamYard had a buffering issue.
Had a little thing going.
The penitentiary deal.
Yes. So we had a nonprofit that we work with called the Realness Project. So that's part of what I did when I wanted to work with the marginalized groups. I hooked up with a nonprofit that was already doing really great work, so that one, I could ride on their wave. And also when people were moved by the song, I can send them to the nonprofit so they can volunteer, they can donate, they can, you know, so there's something to do with the feelings that get moved for people in the mainstream. Yeah.
Right.
So so we went into a prison first in Colorado, and did workshopping with the prisoners around life skills, how to communicate, how to feel your feelings, basically how to be authentic rather than moving into violence to solve, you know, communication issues and things. And believe me, what I'm saying is way tiny compared to what they really do. You know, they would tell you better. But people can go check it out, and they can check it out on my website too. Like, we've got links to all these nonprofits on my website. So we went in with them. And then from that, working with the prisoners, I wrote the song. I got together with Mark Oblinger, and we wrote the song, and then we're kind of fine tuning it and started to record it. And we went back into the state penitentiary, Colorado State Penitentiary, to work with with a bunch of people that she had worked with, the Realness Project had worked with. So we worked with 11 or 12 men.
Yeah.
And they were all they're all in there for life. you know, so that's the level of, you know, their crimes and what they're in for. And to see the human nature of someone want to create a better life no matter where they are, to create, be that ripple we're talking about, to ripple in the incarceration community, to ripple to their families, even though they're seeing their families over phone, or, you know, like just the way that, and to see the difference that's actually happening in that. So rather than being, you know, more using violence as a way to deal, and also isolation, which is a real piece of not sanctuary, is isolation, and to be in isolation and to just watch TV, or to be, you know, just, they're actually engaging with each other, being creative. You know, I'll tell you, when I went into the state penitentiary, what an experience. To go in there through the barbed wire, through the gates, the clanging, and to see that there was nothing natural. Like there were no trees, there are no plants, there are no, I mean, I can't imagine the rest of my life living with all brick, cement, you know, like, and metal and wire. And these guys, go outside is just a teeny little holding thing that is all brick, and you have, you know, barbed wire all around it. Like that's where they go to go outside.
That's their sanctuary. And it's
right. And it's really to feel the beauty of these individuals who are in these situations from, you know, terrible things that they did. And most of them did them either on drugs or alcohol, or did them in gangs. You know, they had no skills. You know, they're not inherently evil people. The ones I met, you know, and so in it, to watch the beauty of the human spirit when it is somewhat watered, you know, to flourish and want to make life better no matter where.
Yeah, it's like watching the banyan tree come back in Lahaina, right?
Yep. Yeah. Is it coming back? Is it?
It's got little green buds already.
Martin's done a whole song about it, and we're following it in the news because we're doing a fundraiser. And it's the first spiritual sign that it's, you know,
it's going to be okay.
It's going to grow again. It's kind of green buds. I'll send it to you. It's amazing.
Oh, please.
But so every one of the songs on Sanctuary is connected to a different nonprofit. Isn't that right?
Almost everyone. Well, yeah, actually, not everyone is connected to a nonprofit. Almost everyone we wrote with nonprofits and marginalized people. There were a couple that we didn't write. They were more like Sanctuary was written as an umbrella. Oh, so, you know, that kind of thing. Yes, but we do have nonprofits tied to that. You know, one of those is the Hendricks Institute. Two people that are really around helping people raise in consciousness and move out of fear and into flow, is what Katie Hendricks calls it, from fear to flow. Yeah. So just a beautiful movement, authenticity movement. And, you know, and it doesn't mean, I mean, I grew up in Boulder, Colorado, so a lot of spiritual stuff. You guys are in California, probably the same thing.
Yeah, very much.
And with it, it's like, I have a really high, you know, bull ticky meter, you know, and something just feels like someone's not dealing practically with something and they're spiritualizing something. So, you know, there is, what I love about the Hendricks Institute is they are so practical. It's like, these are practical skills to shift out of fear, to move into conscious communication, to listening, to taking responsibility in your life rather than blaming, you know, it's such beautiful material, and it's spirituality, it's best, you know, in my view, where it's really active and makes change, you know, in the world.
Yeah, I think that the, you know, spirituality has somewhat suffered from a bad rap, because when it was all sort of the rage and launched on the world in the, you know, flower power and the love generation and the mid to late 60s and whatever, it didn't have a handbook. It didn't have a practical steps you could take. You either had to, you know, drop out or not get with the program. There was no middle ground in those days. So that's what's wonderful about people like the Hendricks Institute, is they're making it practically understandable and, you know, easy for you to actually get into steps of practicing it. But in the old days, it was like shave your head, get an orange caftan, and chant all day,
And take a lot
and drop a lot of
and
acid.
drop a lot of exactly.
Those two things. I grew up in the middle of that whole, Beatles world thing, and just was exposed to a lot of the news and the conversations in the house. I mean, it wasn't what was going on in our house by any means, but I was like tempted to sing when I saw all of the, the hippies and love and all of that, and then they would ruin their lives with drugs and stuff. I always wanted to sing one of these things is not like the other one. One of these things just doesn't belong, because it's like, okay, so you're for this. So we've come a long way in 60 years with the spirituality movement, which is great that you're working with the Hendricks Institute, because they're really one of the.
Yeah. Well, and I have a question for you. I'm just really curious what it was like. So you talked about growing up, in that time and everything.
Yeah.
And for both of you, I mean, Angie, you were like, had kids in that time. And I'm curious, like what that was like to be, related to Paul, and, like.
It was crazy.
It was interesting, shall we say. And, when I first got married to Jim, Ruth was just under the age of 5. Jim adopted her after we got married. And I used to, boys, Paul and his brother Michael used to bring all sorts of friends home. And Jim and I'd be fast asleep, and we'd hear a clatter going on downstairs. And we think, oh, God, one of them's home. And they brought all their friends. And I'd go downstairs and see tipsy young ladies with large glasses of wine.
She's being kind, calling them young ladies.
Deciding to fry bacon and eggs in the kitchen. And I'd say, you go into the lounge and listen to music. I'll do this.
So you don't set fire to the house.
Exactly. So, because I don't want to cater to the fire brigade as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And then in the mornings, I'd go through and clean up the residue of all this wacky backy they've been smoking and other stuff before she wakened up, or before my cleaning lady arrived.
Yeah.
I'd clean the house first before she arrived, so they didn't find any trace of anything.
Well, one of the smart things Ange did when I was about 11 or 12, probably, she and my dad, neither of whom went anywhere near drugs, of course, said, okay, you're getting to be that age now. You're going to be curious. And a lot of your, the people who come through this house, you've smelled weird stuff and what have you. So why don't you make us a list of all the drugs you want to try, and we'll get them from a respectable source, and we'll sit down together. We'll sit here at the kitchen table, you, mum, dad, and Ruth, and we'll do the drugs together. And I went, ew.
That took care of that.
And I never tried anything. No. So it was just like, oh, well, now you've taken the fun out of it. If it's not
taking all the fun out of it.
It's not cool if you do it with mum and dad.
Rebellion.
Yeah, it's crazy. But what we haven't talked about is this, and I know this is in one of your hoping for a nomination categories.
Right, or for your consideration.
This
thank you, Angie.
Packaging. I mean, it is just, this is not going to do it justice. But this, I mean, even just the CD itself looks like a sideral chart. And then there's this incredible lyric book inside with all of this. I mean, just the photography and the art and the work that's gone into this thing is just beautiful. Incredible.
Yeah.
So thank you.
How did the idea for this kind of packaging get started?
Well, one, I'm a fine artist too. That's actually what I got my degree in, is painting. And I hooked up with my producer's wife. So her name is Susan Wassinger, and she is an artist to the nth degree. Like we live and breathe art, and together we put our heads together. And I said, I really want something extraordinary. And I'm willing to. I know that CDs and packages aren't a big deal, because it's just, we're going streaming. But to me, to have the tactile and the visual as an artist is so important to me. So together, we came together. We're like, we really want something spiritual, but we don't want it to be, more, we don't want a religious necessarily, but spiritual. So really came together with the natural spiritual. So like in the front is the looking up at the birch trees mixed with a cathedral. And so it's, when you really, what's lovely is you see, oh, it looks beautiful. But when you look closer to this whole album, it's like, oh, that's what's going on in there. Mm-hmm. So and it really does that all the way through. And we got so excited by it that we ended up making a special edition package too. And that, I think I have one left here. We've sold all of them. It's a beautiful box, like opening a box of chocolates. And on the top,
That's on your website on the
it's on my website. Yeah, you can check it out.
Consideration page. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and it's just little pieces of sanctuary that you can take with you in your day to remind you, and it has little quotes of what that piece of sanctuary is that you can bring with you into your day.
Yeah,
that's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, did you? Is there a song you would like to either talk about or highlight or give us a piece of or anything today? Do you have something that?
Oh, how about just a little piece of the song? Because it's a 4.5 minute song, so it's kind of longer. But let me grab my guitar.
Great. We're going to get a live performance here, folks. This is a rare treat because this lady needs to save her voice for her upcoming tour of everywhere. You're going from coast to coast.
Yes, headed to Nashville next. So
actually,
I have a show in Denver that we're bringing in IRC, International Rescue Committee, and I'm meeting with them tomorrow. And we're going to sing together the refugee song that we wrote, and with all these different refugees with different languages. And so they're going to sing the chorus in their language and in their like all these different languages. And we'll be doing that at Swallow Hill on September 15th in Denver. Yes. And the Realness Project will be there. We'll have one of the formerly incarcerated men be there, and one of our veterans will be there who co-wrote the veteran song. So that'll be really beautiful. And then off to Nashville to showcase at Americana Fest, and then go get my second trophy in my life in California. So,
in the beautiful downtown Temecula, as we call it.
Right. So this song is a song that we wrote with people in the homeless community, and those experiencing homelessness is really the way to say it. And this was a super powerful song for me because I went and I was writing with them. I was doing it for them. And I wrote the song, and then I felt like, man, it's missing something. It's just not deep enough. And I realized that I had been sort of walking on the ice above my own experience with homelessness, and I had buried it so far, that it was like, so I pulled upon that. And really my experience was very, very short with homelessness, in and out very briefly when I was between 14 and 16. And my sister experienced homelessness on a really large scale. And so I brought both of our stories into this. And this is called Mercy. Standing on the corner, two homeless daughters, young eyes that have seen too many things, shivering there with broken wings. Even now the memory stings. The rain was cold, cut to the bone, the kind you feel when you're all alone. But the pain that hit even harder was the look on the face of our father, driving up in his car and choosing not to bother. We can make the angels sing, or we can make them cry. If all the trouble that living brings can't help but wonder why. Not mercy, 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 for heaven's sake. Oh, mercy. Please heal this human ache.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you. The crowd is going, everybody's just going wild. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And the second verse in that I go into where my sister where I turned away from my sister when she was homeless, and I looked away and I pretended not to see it, and then go into, we can make the angels sing and we can make them cry. So it's really not just pointing out towards, others didn't see. It really is like, and I don't see, so
Yes.
mercy for all.
For all. And when we're not going to make ourselves sad, you and I'll have another conversation about the homelessness or experiencing homelessness one day. It's quite a trip.
It is. It is. It is.
Obviously, everybody Ashley is asking which venue in Nashville and when, and I've told everybody go to your website. But if you'd like to,
sure. It's put on by Bill Wentz Presents, a radio promoter in Nashville, and it's at Billy's Idle Hour.
Yeah,
Billy's
classic.
Idle Hour, which is supposedly what my good friend told me in Nashville. She said it's a total dive, but it's wonderful.
Right.
It's classic. Well, again, it's one of those places that's absorbed all of the music. All of those.
Yes. So we're there on the 22nd, and our showcases is from 3 to 3:45, and I'll be there with my trio, which is fabulous, Harmonies. So, and it's free, and you're welcome to come in, and anybody's welcome. So please do.
I will let my Nashville peeps know as well, for
Thank
sure.
you.
Yes.
We used to live there. We lived there for 3 years after we lost everything in the Northridge earthquake. We packed up what was left, not much. Put it in a Honda and a little truck, and off we went to Nashville. And Ange where did you work?
I used to work for USA Today in Los Angeles, and I managed to get a transfer after the earthquake to the company, another paper that
Newspaper,
belonged to the same group.
The Tennessee.
Tennessean, it was called. So that was the deciding. I got a job, and they followed me, and they got jobs.
Yeah, I was writing songs, three songs a day on Nashville for $250 a week.
Woo!
Yeah,
And
two before
no
lunch.
publishing.
Yeah,
no rights.
Oh
to
no,
the
that was
publishing.
the 250 was that was because you gave him your publishing. So and then Martin got involved in music there too, and he worked at the airport for a while. So we just picked up and off we went. Nashville is, I mean, it's 30 years ago now, so it's a completely different town. But Billy's and the Idle Hours are just a classic. So it's like Tootsie's Orchid Lounge. I'm just glad it's still there,
Yes.
And the boot store, That's
fantastic. I want to have a whole nother podcast and hear all your stories. I mean, Angie, I imagine, wow.
She's got a couple of books out. She's got another one coming out.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. What is your book that's coming out?
Well, go
Well,
ahead.
the next one is called There Are Faces I Remember. And it's about 180 or so
people in
people that I
Beatle
met
world.
when I joined the Beatles circus onwards.
And then I've spent the last year and a half digitally painting all the people in the book. So
oh, cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It's going to be, the publisher is Imagine and Wonder out in New York, and it's 12 by 12 like an album and hardcover, and it's going to slide in a fake leather bound box and the whole thing.
Fabulous.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We were sitting outside a couple of years ago now, and I said, title just came to me. There are faces I remember. We're like, let's do that. That's the one. So the next one up is going to be self-published. That's Liverpool Limericks. So that should be fun. It's just silly little ditties to read on the plane on the way to England. And our current one is out now, Ticket to Ride. It's a tour guide book. But
wonderful.
Nobody gets out.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
No, go on.
I just had another question for you. What was it like to be a little sister to Paul? Like, I mean, I love my older brothers, and I'm just curious, like, what that was like.
Well, I mean, we're 18 years apart. I'm his stepsister, obviously. And he didn't live in our house. He would come home weekends when he could, but it was 1964, November, when they married. And the Ed Sullivan Show had happened that February earlier in the year. So they were already the Beatles. And then other brother, Paul's blood brother, my other stepbrother, Mike, was also a big celebrity at the time in a satirical group called The Scaffold. They used to play the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and all of that stuff. So, yeah, it was crazy. I mean, kids would cut off my bits of my hair and steal my lunch and steal my school uniform because it had the name tag in the back.
Somebody even peed in our wellies.
Yes,
in
they
the
did.
cloakroom.
Some little boy who didn't. His dad was a Rolling Stones fan. He decided that my Wellington boots were the new bathroom.
Oh no!
Oh, so that was fun. Yeah,
No.
but you get over it. You learn to be tough. And Paul gave me a good piece of advice that I thought was a bit rotten at the time, but he's turned out to be 100% true. He's like, really know who your friends are, who wants to deal with you for you, and who only wants backstage passes or to meet me. And if you can sort those two people out for the rest of your life, you'll be good to go.
Be fine.
Boy, was you right.
Yeah.
As it turned out, he was right.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So we're blessed. We have a lot of great people in our life, and a lot of them are watching now. Ashley and Sammy.
Yay.
All of those.
And Martin will put this show up on YouTube in about an hour from now.
It'll be on YouTube.
Yeah.
So if you tuned in late or missed it, but our very special guests always they get a little personal limerick from the limerick writer.
Okay.
And we usually get it wrong.
Yeah.
So we might have to do it twice. But anyway. So before we go, go check everybody out. It's on the crawl. Everybody check out RebeccaFolsom.com, and all of her good stuff is there. Click on if you're a voting member for NARAS, please click on the For Your Consideration page, because a lot of love and a lot of goodwill and a lot of talent and work has gone into this fantastic album, Sanctuary. And go stream it, buy it, download it, get it. Just get it, as they say.
Get it. Yeah. Exactly.
So here we go with our silly limerick. And a 1, 2, 3. Rebecca was so good to meet, and lots of our friends came to greet. Your music is soothing and calming and smoothing. You made TeaFlix Tuesday a treat.
Ta-da!
We almost know.
Oh, I love
Thank you
it.
so much. This has been wonderful.
Oh, thank you, Angie. Thank you,
Okay.
Ruth.
Oh my gosh,
Lovely to be here.
absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
And everybody, we're getting lots of hearts and loves and all of that good
Yes.
stuff. And go find Rebecca, like I said, on RebeccaFolsom.com, and where you stream and buy and download, hopefully buy your music. It's been a
Yes.
joy.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
I am,
Thanks.
I am uplifted.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Maybe resonate. Peace
Exactly.
and love.
Absolutely. All right, kids. We'll
All
see
right.
you all of a sudden. Bye-bye.
Okay. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.